Welcome to each and every one of you who are watching and will be watching this AUAN multimedia program. I hope you are all well and healthy from wherever part of the world that you are residing from. Today we will continue to part three of the recitation of my Vavanga book. And I'll try my best to read as much as I can for within half an hour, and then we'll quit there. Only half an hour for this program. So I'll now have a look. Maybe we'll come closer to you people, and we can go there later. But here I want to come back to the last part where I stopped my reading. Last time I was in page 24 of my book, and I think what I will do today, I'll read the last paragraph when I finished last week, and then so to make sense when we move to the second paragraph. So we need to read the last one I read. So please bear with me. I'll start reading the last paragraph. This is page 23. Okay. I have to get my other classes. Let me see. Okay. This is my reading classes. Okay. Let's go. Moreover, Vavanga in contemplation focuses on exploring the dynamic and limitless character of space and change as a constant process. In the dialectical language of Professor George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, with the valuing of space, var, rather than prioritizing time, daimi or ta, as temple. In Mahene's sense, also for Heraclitus of Ephesus in Greece, he asserted that the only real constant is change. So Hegel's dialecticism of ideas or spirituality, for that matter, as an ongoing process of change is noteworthy. But Dr. Karl Marx's definition is equally significant as it goes beyond this cognitive conceptual aspect and embraces the material economic side of life. Marx believes that this dialectical transition can end up in a climax of classless society, as in Hegel's idealism of utopian spirituality, which is considered as their main shortcoming. This shows similarities between two viewpoints. First, the theory of process or theory of change from classical scientists like Dr. Nikola Tesla and Professor Dr. Albert Einstein, as well as modern philosophers like Helu and Professor Dr. Alfred Northwhite had, which says everything is always changing in conjunction with the ideas like process, motion, energy, frequency, vibration, action, and interaction. It encompasses a dynamic interplay of cooperation and opposition. It encompasses a dynamic interplay of cooperation and opposition, rather, inspired by the dialectic approach of Hegel and Marx, albeit without their utopian notions of a final climax or end of life. Second, Professor Dr. Francis Fukuyama's idea from his book The End of History and the Last Man, influenced by Hegel and Nietzsche, he suggests that after communism fell, liberal democracy and capitalism are the highest point in history, following Hegel's ideas and Nietzsche's theory of the overman, Superman. However, Fukuyama, like Hegel and Marx, has not really proven that history has truly ended, given ongoing changes in society and the world, and neither the overman is the highest and last human being either. Moreover, Parmenides of Ilia in Italy proposed a theory asserting that change is an illusion, and that what truly exists is unchanging and eternal. He argued that reality is a single, unchanging, and indivisible entity, which he referred to as being, by Professor Dr. Slavoj Žižek. Accordingly, he explores the dialectic transition between reality and fantasy, where the latter represents what is untrue, constructed by ideology, to represent a false image of life. For him, for Žižek, most, if not all, social phenomena in life consist of ideological elements that exert certain kinds of influences upon individuals. Žižek's view of surplus enjoyment, again in relation to what is and what is not, appears to be greatly influenced. Which concerns, is not appears to be greatly influenced by Karl Marx. And the works, I'll read it again, Žižek's view of surplus enjoyment, again in relation to what is and what is not, appears to be greatly influenced by Karl Marx and the works of Professor Dr. Jacques Lacan und Joseph. That is, pleasure that goes beyond the pleasure principle, often involving a paradoxical mix of pleasure and pain. That is from Lacan. And what is not. Žižek's writings of ideology also bear relevance to recent works by Professor Dr. Thomas Nagel and Philip Gove on ideology and consciousness, Commonly, they all shared the concern of what is and what is not, as first spelled out by pre-Socratic philosophers like Parmenides and Heraclitus when discussing Jains and metaphysical concepts. This comprises the material and spiritual or conceptual antagonism as mirrored in the recent discussion between material reductionism led by Nagel and what I have called non-material reductionism or rationalism for that matter. Nagel critiqued material reductionism, suggesting it is inadequate to explain consciousness, similar to how Zizek critiques reductionist ideologies from a psychoanalytic and critical theory perspectives. However, non-material reductionism is considered as the reducing of everything down to non-materialism or spirituality, in contrast to material reductionism that the above said philosophers discussed. Later in the preface, we will see more of this rationalistic approach from the works of such pre-Socratic philosophers, including Saint Augustine of Hippo and modern philosophers like René Descartes and Professor Dr. Immanuel Kant. Additionally, material reductionism for Nagel, Cove, and even Zizek is a kind of ideology. Zizek asserted that we should deal with it on the ground of common sense and experience rather than universal approach, which is the opposite of our Vavanga theory with its Vafilosica worldview and Universale theory of Huacao. Hang on, I'll just check the time. 26 minutes to go. We're finished. 26 minutes finished. We have 5 more minutes to go. Okay. Furthermore, Nietzsche's exploration of his concept of the will to power in human and non-human situations, encompassing notions of self-expression and envy, offers an alternative perspective on the shift from what is to what is not in terms of knowledge. Vavanga theory represents a perspective on the nature of change, existence, and existence is not merely as illusion, it being in existence with their overall enduring attributes. This suggests that change is not merely an illusion, but an intrinsic aspect of the universe's dynamic nature. However, unlike Parmenides, who denied the reality of change altogether, Vavanga theory acknowledges change as a fundamental process while also recognizing its enduring attributes with their underlying staple structure, as it is reflected here in the discussion of Professor John Anderson's 13 categories and Albert Einstein's space and time dimension theory, which have taken as permanent features of existence, iai and reality, iai whakaatamai. Okay, we still have time. Kind of confusing waste of time. Okay, yeah. Let's continue. 3 more minutes to go. However, like Parmenides, who denied the reality of change altogether, or I read it, in essence, the Andersonian 13 categories and the 3 spatial dimensions of depth, width, and height of Einstein's are seen by Vavanga theory as the enduring attributes that provide the underlying stable structure for any being whatsoever in space and change to occur. On the other hand, in relation to Heraclitus' theory of constant change, Vavanga theory associates with the idea that change is pervasive aspects of existence. As said, Heraclitus famously stated, quotation, "You cannot step to the same river twice," emphasizing the flux and impermanence of all things. Similarly, Vavanga theory acknowledges the ever-changing nature of existence or reality, with its emphasis on the dynamic interplay of space and change. However, Vavanga theory also introduces the notion of underlying stable structure and continuity in terms of categorical terms and spatial temporal dimensions as the enduring attributes, which provides a framework within which change occurs. This integration of seemingly opposing elements then connects with Vavanga theory and Huakao's universale or universalism theory, where 2 distinct beings become interconnected like 2 become 1, Laueua Koetaha, as he puts it. Laueua Koetaha serves as the motto of the Fofoanga Club, the prominent Kavatonga Club in Tonga and beyond. This phrase bears resemblance to the English idiom 2 sides of the same coin. So that's the end. We comes there to 27, from 23 page to now 27, and I would like to stop there. Time is finished, and I would like to thank you all for watching, and whoever watching in the future, both from here, from Facebook, and also via YouTube. So our YouTube connection is now back to normality, so you can watch it on Facebook or YouTube. But thank you very much to all of you, and I'll see you next time. MALO Apito.